there are issues that are in the public domain, and there are people who still, even this morning, even after your event, ask questions about them. For example, in basic schools, there are parents who are still wondering, textbooks, how far?
Textbooks. That's a very fascinating story. I wanted to make sure we distribute textbooks differently. Once upon a time, the books get to the region gets to the district, and before you know, the classrooms don't have it. So we learned some serious lessons from the basic school textbook, primary school textbooks. We have core textbooks in the classrooms. But you see, if you don't do the supply chain well, you can have a situation where a certain school may not have the full complement. So I asked the GES to do a major review of their processes. So when we go to the junior high school textbook distribution, which we've done for core textbooks, I think they are missing creative arts and other subjects. But the ones that came and we distributed, what we did was that we asked the district in the Greater Accra, all the district went to the regional warehouse. They boxed the books for them, and the school heads were there. And the books were transported from the regional warehouse to the school. So you will not have a situation where a school head will say, I don't have them. They were there for the distribution. And the Greater Accra Regional Director of Education, for example, superintendent over it. And after he finished, he has shared his experience with the other regional directors of education. So across the country, the regional directors also spearheaded a similar exercise to make sure when the book gets to the warehouse at the region, it gets to the intended destination. And we paid for it to go. The ministry sponsored that. So our whole idea is that it's not enough to sit at the ministry as the minister and say books have been procured. If you don't have a follow-up mechanism to make sure that the books are in the classroom, you'll be shocked. You'll be surprised. So the lessons learned is guiding this. And for example, high schools, core textbooks. If any high school headmaster tells you they don't have a core textbooks, I'll be shocked. We did a needs assessment. They gave us every textbook, the shortfall. We procured the books, made sure they were distributed according to the shortfalls.
By high school, you mean senior high school?
Senior high school, I mean. So, for example, when I had a meeting with all the heads of Atachimota last week, heads of all senior high school in the southern sector, I asked in the room, is there any headmaster here who can tell me they don't have books? And no hand could go up. We had met with all their regional bookstore keepers and met with the headmaster, the regional directors. They set up a system to ensure that the books get to the classroom. You can have a situation where you send the books to the school, and if you are not careful, they may not be distributed to the students. So some of these things, when you are not a hands-on person, people may make valid claims that it's not there, and they may be right. They may be right. And the whole idea is to make sure that, what I've learned is that it's not enough for you to say, I've procured the books, and I expect the books to be in the classroom. Now we have a follow-up monitoring evaluation from the ministry next week, starting with high schools, selecting some high schools at random, going in to check. For example, science textbooks. Last year, I visited a school, and I mentioned it in Every Girls. And I went in thinking, everybody has a science textbook. I went to the classroom, and then the children told me, no, we didn't get our elective textbook from the government. We bought it. So the next day, the headmistress was in my office, and I said, Madam, I thought every student doing science has a textbook. And he said, oh, when it came, we didn't have enough. I said, who did you tell? So you see, the situation you have is that you don't have enough, right? Maybe you have enough for 70%, but it wasn't given to them because they didn't have enough. So out of that, then we did the shortfall assessment, and now, if any school says they don't have enough science textbooks, I'll be surprised. But I'm not taking the fact that I've supplied the books as the reason why they should have it. We are doing the next step where we are monitoring to make sure when the next academic year begins, no science student will have to buy any textbook, because we started with science and moving to the other elective, and also those who are doing the STEM, they've also gotten our textbook, and theirs will be online on their tablets. And at the end of the day, the whole idea is to ensure that when you procure, it gets to the intended destination. So when parents say that they have a, there are times when you sit in your office and say, how come? But if you don't do a quick follow-up, they may be right and you may be wrong, even though the procurement has happened.